Yeah, you used to get played with LeBron. Why do you think he's still playing?
I think because he can. His body's allowing to, and he, wants to be the greatest and consider the greatest. And I feel like a lot of people won't ever put him in that category because of Mike and he hasn't won enough rings. So he has to do it with longevity and breaking other records.
Welcome to the Third Down Conversation, your place for sports and entertainment. I am the Turnip Seed. Let's talk about it. Yes, welcome into the Third Down Conversation. This is episode 25. And for this episode, I'm going to do something a little different. On a previous episode, I did a segment called Third and Short, where I ask a question, and if you agree with it, you run with it, and if you don't, then you pass on it. So this past week, I searched Twitter, and I came across 5 different video clips that I'm going to play for you. The first clip you just heard is Danny Green being asked the question, why is LeBron James still playing? Danny Green answers that question by stating that LeBron James is still playing to strengthen his GOAT case by breaking records and longevity. I can't run with this enough. Danny Green is spot on, in my opinion. Because when you look at it, what else or why else would LeBron James be playing? There's literally nothing else he can do. Nothing at all. Even, let's just say even this year, which the Lakers, in my opinion, have a great chance. Let's say the Lakers win the championship this year. That won't help his GOAT debate. It would actually hurt it because people are going to say, Luka carried him to the championship. How do you know that? Because that's what they said about Kobe when he got his first 3 with Shaq. That Shaq carried him, which is not true if you go and just look at the playoff runs. Shaq never carried Kobe, but that's what they will say. There's literally nothing else LeBron James can do. Therefore, he figures, let's break all the records. Let's play as long as we can at a high level. And that will make my GOAT case strong. But I'm going to do a little bit of forecasting here. I say in probably about 10 years or so, when the new Stephen A's, the new Shannon Sharp, the new Nick Wrights, these are sports media TV personalities, by the way. When that new group gets ushered in, I think they will say LeBron James is a GOAT. And they're going to say that based on his longevity, he has all the records, and he has enough championships. Because if you look at it, the value of winning championships is already getting diminished. This started back when LeBron was in Cleveland and he was making the NBA Finals all those times in a row, but never winning. And, his fan club, his fanboys wanted to give him credit for just making it. So the devaluing of actually winning started way back then. And now you can just see it. You can see it coming, in my opinion. I hope I'm wrong. But I do believe in probably about 10 years or so, they're going to try to call him the GOAT, which would be asinine, but they going to say it. Mark my words.
Is the NBA ready for life without LeBron? Hell no. Hell no. They're not. They're not. Look, let me say this. Wendy, you brought up a point about going to the NBA Finals and winning championships. That's only a small percentage of what LeBron James has done for the NBA, for us carrying the torch and wearing that cape for over 2 decades of being the face of the league. When you just go and look at his social media following, We're talking about over 200 million plus followers. Name me another athlete that's coming close, or another basketball player, should I say, that's coming close to that. We can't. When you talk about packing out arenas on the road, LeBron James does that in every arena that they pull up in that's not in crypto.com. He's been doing that for the last 2+ decades. When you talk about jersey sales, when you talk about selling shoes, along with delivering on the floor and making sure you don't disappoint the fans and being available, he has done that. When you talk about things outside of basketball and keeping his resume clean and being able to carry the face and being able to be that positive influence in everybody's life to all the kids when it comes down to being a role model, he has checked all the boxes.
Sticking with LeBron, that was Kendrick Perkins explaining why he believes the NBA is not ready for life without LeBron. I pass on this, but it's going to be a bit of a weird pass because I believe the NBA is ready for life without LeBron, but they don't realize it yet. There's so many young superstars in the league right now. You have SGA. You've got the Joker. You've got Luka, Ant Edwards, Giannis, Cade Cunningham, Wemby. So many guys ready and able to take the mantle. But the NBA is not ready to hand it to those guys because LeBron draws headlines. I mean, just turn your TV on right now. Again, the Lakers are on a hot streak. But even when they are struggling, they on the TV screen and they're somehow talking about LeBron. Whether that's LeBron being with the Lakers, the Miami Heat, the Cleveland Cavaliers, it doesn't matter. So the NBA isn't ready because sports media isn't ready. They figure out how to get LeBron center stage. I believe the NBA is ready, but they're choosing not to move on. It's kind of like being in a bad relationship. Like, you know there's an expiration date, but you're going to ride it till the wheels fall off. So I can't blame the NBA for doing that. I actually understand it. I get it. But yeah, the NBA is ready for life after LeBron. The players are in place. The personalities, and Edwards is one that comes to mind with how he carries himself. They're ready. They just won't do it.
How will you remember this performance?
Well, maybe it's just because I'm in a good mood today. I'm not going to rain on Bam Adebayo's parade. Like all these other people and maybe across the table, I will remember this as the defining moment of a very good player's career.
Yep.
He is kind of a perennial all-star, but he's not that superstar level. But this will make us remember him for decades, all right? And I saw the haters out there. He did legitimately drop 31 points in the first quarter. 10 for 16, was on fire, 5 for 8 from 3.
Yep.
He did legitimately drop 43 at the half. That's when I wasn't even watching this game. I was watching the Spurs, Celtics, and when I saw he had 43 at the half, I said, okay, let me put this on as well. And he did legitimately put 62 up in the first 3 quarters. And they were up 16.
I don't think anyone has an issue with the first 3 quarters.
Okay, keep going. Look, is it his fault? If I'm telling you, and I think this goes for all the guys that have gotten close and then come out. If I'm getting that close, I'm going for it. And I salute Spoelstra and the teammates for having him, like having that mentality of, man, let's go for it.
And that was Chris Broussard talking about Bam Adebayo's 83 points, breaking Kobe Bryant's 81 points. And look, all these won't be about the Lakers or have any any Laker ties. I promise you that. But I like Chris Broussard. He's my favorite sports media personality. But I pass on this. Chris mentioned that the first 3 quarters are legitimate. And I agree with that. The first 3 quarters are legitimate. The problem is the fourth quarter. And that's where it became unethical. The things that the Heat were doing to get that record, missing free throws on purpose, fouling the other team to get the ball back, that made it not basketball anymore. It looked like a game you're playing in the backyard. Chris Broussard also mentioned that Bam will always be remembered for this. And he's correct. He will be remembered, but for all the wrong reasons. Because when the game gets talked about, the first thing people are going to say is his 83 is not Kobe's 81. And then they're going to talk about how it just became like a YMCA like exhibition game at a certain point. But I will say this, I'm not a hater. I don't care that he broke Kobe's record. I do not care. I don't care at all. 83 points is 83 points. That is to be celebrated. Yeah, he shot 43 free throws. In a normal game, or I should say in an average game, a team doesn't shoot 43 free throws, but still, he had to make those points. Unethical or not, he had to make those points. It should be celebrated. If I'm Bam, I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. I don't care what anybody else says. I scored 83 points in an NBA game. But also, it was a little backyardish. Like it was. Like it just wasn't, something about it just don't feel right. Something about it just doesn't sit well. And hey, look, that's life. That's fine. He scored 83. It ain't Kobe's 83, but it ain't Kobe's 81, but still. 83 points is 83 points. So I do semi-respect it.
MJ is just bigger than the game. No matter who passes him in stats, who wins more, or it's gonna be hard to win. Yeah, go 6-0. But even if you were to pass him in anything, just his impact on the sport and just culture in general is just too big. Like you said, he hovers above the sport from what he produced on the court, but also his personality is, like they say, his aura is just too hard to get away from. You know what I'm saying? And that's just from dominance on the floor.
That's Kevin Durant talking about Michael Jordan. And he states that MJ is bigger than the game. And I run with that. Complete run with that. As KD stated, you can pass Michael Jordan in stats. You can. And most modern day players probably will. Kevin Durant just passed him. Maybe James Harden can catch him. But that stuff won't matter because Michael Jordan was the ultimate winner. That's the reason why LeBron James can't catch him. He won't be able to win as much as the main guy. He has 5 MVPs, meaning Michael Jordan. He has a Defensive Player of the Year award. But his trump card, his joker, he's 6-0 in the finals. And that's just on the court. When you look off the court, he grew the game. His shoes are still selling to this day. Michael Jordan is something that can't be explained. It's quite remarkable that the last time he played was easily over 2 decades, and he's still viewed as the man. Like the people, his contemporaries that he played against, the way they talk about him, enough said.
Let's talk to the social media QBs here. I want to pick apart Byron Brown's throwing motion. So if you haven't seen this before, you probably weren't watching college football last year. Byron Brown transferring from USF to Auburn. His motion is not conventional. Go ahead and take another look at this here in the video behind me from the social team at Auburn. Has a little bit of a wind-up in it. People that I've been around call that like a J motion. It's not ideal because it takes a little bit longer for the football to get out. So yeah, like is it 100% fundamentally sound? Is it what you would coach up if you were starting someone from the first day of learning how to play quarterback? Is that the exact right textbook motion? No. But here's the thing. Speaking back to these social media quarterback coaches saying this is not going to work in the SEC, this is a problem. Oh, Auburn's cooked. Like, he threw for 3,000 yards last year. He's obviously done this enough. He's repped this enough. He's refined his own motion enough in terms of using it as a college quarterback to where it's repeatable. As long as it's repeatable, like, will it be a problem in the NFL? Yeah, probably so. I'm sure that'll be a question scouts have about the guy. But playing college football, that's plenty good enough.
And to close out the show, of course, I've got to talk about my Auburn Tigers. This past week, Auburn opened spring practice, began spring practice, I should say. And what you just heard was J.D. Piquel of On3 Sports talking about Byron Brown, Auburn's assumed starting quarterback. He will be the starting quarterback, but we'll just put assumed on it for right now. He's talking about his throw-in motion because the first day of spring practice, it was all the rave, and people were freaking out saying that, that motion's not going to work in the SEC. Auburn's in trouble. It's just a bunch of nonsense because at the end of the day, yes, this guy's from South Florida, but just last year, he's like one of 13 players in NCAA history to throw for 3,000 yards and rush for 1,000 yards. I'll say again. He threw for 3,000 yards and rushed for 1,000 yards. Now, does that mean he's going to do that at Auburn? I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is this. If his throwing motion was so bad and needed to be worked on drastically, it would have been. But he's been just fine. And in fact, he has been great at what he does. He's now at Auburn with his head coach that he had at South Florida. Same offensive system. Many of the same receivers. He's going to do just fine at Auburn. It may not be 3,000 yards, but I bet you'd be anywhere between 2,500 to 2,800 yards and 20-plus touchdowns. Guaranteed. Like Charles Barkley. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, let me know. Jump in the comments. If you disagree with something that I say, again, jump in the comments. I would love to hear some of you guys' feedback. This has been the Third Down Conversation. I am the Turnip Seed. Jesus loves you, and I'm out. Peace.